Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star 2 Origin Continent based on novel. So let's start. Moryu, who was somewhat startled before being put away. Morosa grinned goofily and looked toward the distance. Master, are you ready to make a move? Do you need my help? Even if he were to act, he would only unleash eternal true god techniques, preferring death over using any sector beast moves. If I need you to act, I'll let you know, Luo Feng eagerly replied, his bones infused with a love for battle, although he hadn't encountered any opponent since becoming an eternal true god. All right, Morosa said, a hint of disappointment in his voice. He too longed for a good battle. You stay here and watch. I'll go up and have a look, Luo Feng said, already flying over. Morosa stood in midair, watching the scene, and thought to himself, it has not been long since the master became an eternal true god. He hasn't had the chance to cultivate any powerful secret techniques. I hope this opponent is strong so that I can join the fight. Morosa itched to act. Even without using sector beast techniques, simply by understanding the path of destruction, Morosa had already devised many moves. Luo Feng noticed a flying boat carrying a true god team entering that area while he was flying closer. This flying boat carried a true god of void space along with more than 10 true gods, who were carefully steering the flying boat towards Huyang City, avoiding dangerous territories along the way. Suo Zi, Suo Yun, the two of you will settle in Huyang City from now on, the disheveled-haired man instructed. Huyang City is a large city, teeming with true gods. Even a true god of void space is just an ordinary member. And you true gods are considered the lowest level. The two young men listened obediently. The disheveled-haired man, the clan leader of their tribe and the only true god of void space in the tribe, had lived in Huyang City for many long years. You must be low-key once in Huyang City. Those who show off their treasures will have their lives taken, the clan leader said. Be low-key, and keep it that way. Even though you are the most talented in the tribe, you are still too weak. Yes, the two young men replied. As long as ordinary true gods don't show off, no one will attack you. After all, Huyang City has laws and order, the clan leader said, but if you show off or boast, you'll silently lose your life. Even the Huyang guards won't be able to find out the murderer. Clan leader, you've said these things many times, someone said. These two kids will definitely remember them well, another laughed. The rest of the team members laughed as well. The clan leader smiled and nodded. The first thing you do in Huyang City is to thoroughly check your own bloodline. Afterwards, find a secret technique suitable for yourselves. Huyang City has countless opportunities. As long as you seize them, you might become a true god of void space. Desire filled the eyes of Suo Zi and Suo Yun. They were not content with a lifetime in the tribe, afraid of remaining mere true gods forever. They too aspired to become true gods of void space and experience more wonders. Don't worry, clan leader, we've firmly remembered how to survive in Huyang City, Suo Yun said. The clan leader nodded slightly, when suddenly his expression changed. Not good. The clan leader's aura surged instantaneously. He burned his godly body and marshaled all his divine power to control the flying boat, with layers of dazzling formations appearing on its surface. At that moment, 10 terrifying shadows appeared, and invisible forces connected as one, assaulting the flying boat simultaneously. Military formation. 10 true gods of void space. The clan leader knew it was bad news. He had lived in Huyang City before, his experiences there rich, but the death of beloved friends had made him weary of life in Huyang City. He left for the wilderness and settled in a small tribe. Over a long period, he naturally became the clan leader of the entire tribe, and also attracted many weak true gods to join. After all, those living in the wilderness were generally very weak and impoverished true gods. Having a true god of void space as a support naturally formed a larger tribe. Boom. The 10 shadows collaborated in attacking, with the flying boat's surface revealing layer upon layer of formations, coordinating seamlessly. Even if 1 or 2 formations were destroyed, new ones emerged. They are somewhat capable, the 10 shadows were surprised. They were all elite soldiers, the trusted aides of the army commander Duomo. A single true god of void space able to briefly withstand their joint attack was very, very rare. Finish them quickly. We can't delay. They also feared angering the army commander. Having the army commander personally intervene meant that his aides were useless. Boom. 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 Each of the 10 shadows surged in aura. What? 10 military elites, all burning their godly bodies desperately. I was just passing by, the clan leader could hardly believe it. How could there be such enmity, to resort to burning their godly bodies in desperation from the outset? The clan leader glanced at his fellow tribespeople, sadness in his eyes. We can't escape this time, we're likely all going to die here, said the disheveled-haired man. The 10 or more true gods of the tribe were stunned. Suo Zi and Suo Yun, the 2 young true gods, were especially dumbfounded. They had been full of anticipation for life in Huyang City, and now they were about to die. They had been born in the tribe, and had never been to a big city. This is fate. We've seen what needed to be seen, experienced what needed to be experienced. It's a pity that Suo Yun and Suo Zi are still so young, never having been to a big city. Most of the other true gods in the tribe were quite resigned. They were the tribal elite, having followed the clan leader to Huyang City for procurement many times, and were accustomed to the constant presence of life and death from frequently hunting exotic beasts. Is it finally my turn? The clan leader calmly awaited his fate, his eyes filled with reminiscence. The other true gods also gazed out of the flying boat, looking at the terrifying siege, each awaiting the arrival of death. Suddenly. What is this? This. The clan leader, Suo Zi, Suo Yun, and their fellow kin were all shocked as they looked out, only to see a dark-haired man with a pair of dark golden horns suddenly appear outside, his gaze profound. The moment he appeared, 10 shadows were so frightened that they immediately fled. It's the eternal true god. The clan leader inside the flying boat reacted the quickest, immediately flying out to respectfully bow. Greetings, Supreme. Luo Feng glanced at him, nodded slightly, then waved his hand to collect the entire flying boat along with the clan leader. He might have to confront that unfamiliar eternal true god, fearing that even a mere ripple from the battle might kill these weaker ones. Luo Feng did not want to involve the innocent, so he chose to secure them first. Luo Feng then looked up, gazing towards the distant source of powerful energy, where the 10 shadows had also fled. I see you, Luo Feng said with a smile. The black-robed figure hiding in the distance gritted his teeth in frustration. Although he was powerful, and according to the levels of the bloodline cultivation method, he had even reached the eternal 8th realm, making him one of the strongest among the eternal true gods. But at the crucial moment of harvesting the blue-purple blood crystal flower, he did not want any accidents. Yet as much as he feared something, it happened. This is my place of cultivation. A terrifying power released slightly, and a deep voice sounded, respected divine monarch passing by, please leave. In the land of origin, divine monarch was a term of respect. Place of cultivation. Luo Feng laughed. How come I detect the aura of a rare heavenly treasure? The terrifying power in the distance immediately revealed a black-robed figure. The black-robed figure's expression was extremely grim and annoyed. He had tried his best to conceal his presence, but the scent of the heavenly treasure was too mysterious. Achieving a perfect concealment usually required the power of a primal chaos overlord. The blossoming period of the blue-purple blood crystal flower lasts only 10 days, and within these 10 days, apart from me, there appears to be another eternal true god who has passed by and detected the aura of the treasure, the black-robed figure internally sighed. After showing himself, the black-robed figure looked towards Luo Feng from afar. Both parties' gazes collided. Indeed, there is a rare heavenly treasure, but I discovered it first, the black-robed figure said. Whoever dares to compete, I shall kill. He was gambling. Gambling that Luo Feng, unaware of the heavenly treasure, would not rashly risk a battle. What he did not know was that aside from a few crucial treasures, Luo Feng was essentially penniless, desperately in need of treasures to exchange for resources. Moreover, Luo Feng had been lonely in the primordial cosmos region for too long, and was eager for a great battle. I am very interested in trying, Luo Feng's eyes gleamed with the desire to fight. "You are forcing my hand," the black-robed figure sighed softly, and the surroundings instantly darkened a bit. The 10 trusted aides by his side silently disintegrated and died. At their deaths, each seemed somewhat incredulous. "You killed your subordinates?" Luo Feng was puzzled. "They should die the moment they learn of the heavenly treasure," the black-robed figure spoke calmly. "Originally, they could have lived a few more days until the matter was settled, but then you arrived. For an ordinary treasure, there was no need to kill his trusted aides. Duomo was enough to withstand the scrutiny that comes with an ordinary treasure. But the blue-purple blood crystal flower was too precious. Once exposed, it would bring too much trouble, and Duomo did not think he could withstand it. So Duomo's plan was to kill all creatures approaching this area. Naturally, he had never planned to spare the 10 trusted aides who had been following him. "Tell me your name. As an eternal true god, you have earned the right to be remembered," the black-robed figure spoke. "Since I am going to die, there's no need to know too much," Luo Feng replied. The black-robed figure laughed in extreme anger. He was reluctant to make a move easily, because any eternal true god on the land of origin should not be underestimated. After all, anyone could produce a terrifying treasure with a flip of their hand. But that did not mean he lacked confidence. Duomo, with the strength of the eternal 8th realm, was considered exceptionally strong among the eternal true gods. Otherwise, he would not have been assigned to oversee many matters in Huyang City. "I am being cautious as an old hand, and yet this eternal true god does not know the immensity of heaven and earth." The black-robed figure's prepared secret technique was instantly unleashed. Luo Feng felt it. A certain unknown source of law was activated. A black-silver conical spike appeared out of nowhere. This black-silver spike was densely covered with secret patterns that circulated, terrifying in power. As soon as it appeared, it was already in front of Luo Feng, its speed distorting space and slightly altering the flow of time. Luo Feng's body was not large, but as a perfect divine body, he could change size at will. Though seeming small, it was actually immensely huge. Moreover, in his hometown's small cosmos, divine power was continuously forming, connected to the true god's heart, and continuously supplying, causing Luo Feng's godly body to continuously grow. This black-silver spike, about half the height of Luo Feng, struck him in the chest with a bang, like 2 towering mountains colliding at high speed. Even as a perfect divine body, Luo Feng was still knocked back by this spike, his step back causing the void to tremble. At the same time, one spike after another appeared out of thin air. As they appeared, these spikes had already reached in front of Luo Feng. Some spikes struck Luo Feng's head, some on his back, and some on his face. The spikes, attacking from all directions, bombarded Luo Feng. Saw the novel, F.I.nt website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. A total of 19 spikes. These 19 spikes coordinated with each other, their terrifying strikes flowing continuously like water, bringing destructive power that surged into Luo Feng's body, aiming to completely destroy his godly body. And each spike also transmitted a strange toxin, permeating Luo Feng's godly body, eroding his consciousness. Toxins of law. Luo Feng detected, his eyes flickering with excitement. Really interesting. It had been too long since he had encountered such an interesting opponent. He must have mastered a source of laws that contains deadly poison, Luo Feng speculated. In the land of origin, the eternal true gods harvest the essence of exotic beasts' blood for cultivation, so they often have very unique talents, even mastering some rare sources of laws. The 19 sharp cones bombarded him from all directions, and Luo Feng couldn't help but stagger clumsily, with many wounds appearing on his body. However, the wounds healed instantly. The speed of his divine power consumption was not even close to the replenishment rate of a small universe, with a diameter of 100 billion light-years. "You have been affected by my law's poison, and still dare to withstand my blackwater cone." The black-robed figure watched the scene, secretly shocked in his heart. Duomo was most adept at 2 methods, one of which was the poison of laws. This poison was unpredictable, it could destroy a godly body and erode consciousness. The weak would die on the spot, and even the strong would suffer damage to their strength. But he did not know. Luo Feng's perfect divine body was not the least bit affected by the poison of laws. As for its effect on the soul's consciousness, with Star Tower guarding the true God's heart, and a spirit will that had reached the pinnacle of the primal chaos level, that bit of law poison couldn't shake him. Is that the extent of your poisoning technique? Luo Feng chuckled as a knife suddenly appeared in his hand. It was the Blood Shadow knife, a godly king-level weapon embryo. The blade was bleak, yet it glinted with a trace of blood light. The moment Luo Feng grasped the knife, the source of the law of life and death was naturally stirred, and countless grey blade lights appeared out of nowhere, sweeping across all directions, repelling those sharp cones. Blade of life and death from a world-breaking 9 blades. During his journey through the Samsara channel, Luo Feng acquired a vast inheritance from 2 streams and naturally selected what suited him. Apart from the core inheritances of Duan Dong River like Duan Mie and Dong Hua, which he was obliged to cultivate, Luo Feng, possessing the perfect divine body, also chose the body-refining secret technique, Primal Chaos Great Strength Diagram, his main blade technique, world-breaking 9 blades, and for primordial ancestor, 9 netherworlds. However, due to the shortness of time and the high difficulty of Duan Mie and Dong Hua, as well as the vast amount of resources needed for Primal Chaos Great Strength Diagram, the parts at the Eternal True God tier was still untrained. Of the world-breaking 9 blades, he had only comprehended the first blade, which happened to be the most compatible with the source of life and death he controlled, the blade of life and death. You have been affected by my poison, yet you remain arrogant. The black-robed figure laughed loudly as his figure twisted and grew massive, towering like a mountain in the blink of an eye. He was now clad in scale armor, resembling a standing monster, with 4 thick legs, a robust body, and 8 deep cyan arms. He also had 3 heads that looked like lizard heads. The 3-headed, 8-armed Duomo, each claw holding a black spear, spread toxic gas with each breath. The gas spread over 10,000 miles, causing a vast amount of vegetation to wither. With his towering mountainous stature, the 3 massive heads stared at Luo Feng and growled, "Why don't you reveal your true body?" "Just you." Luo Feng held the knife in one hand, looking up at the colossal figure. The eternal true gods of the land of origin usually maintain a humanoid form, with an average height of about 1 blade. A blade is a basic unit of length in the land of origin. According to the information Luo Feng had, the ancient beings of the land of origin most revered the Yuan, which is the humanoid form. So the figures at the godly king tier usually maintained humanoid forms as well. Setting an example for others to follow, the myriad clans cultivators of the land of origin, no matter their tribe, even if they were of the mechanical clan, metallic life forms, or plant tribes, were all accustomed to the humanoid form. However, when it comes to battle, to fully exert their strength, they would reveal their true bodily forms. It is only in their true bodily forms that they can perfectly display their full strength. Maintaining a too small form impedes their strength, so they need to reveal their true bodies. Generally, unlimited godly bodies can change size at will. Even in a small form, they can still exert their full strength perfectly. Luo Feng understood this. His body could also change size at will, without any impact on his strength. Then die. Duomo's 3 heads were ferocious, and with giant strides that spanned the clouds, he quickly approached, while the 8 spears covered heaven and earth, attacking Luo Feng. Luo Feng turned into a blur of grey blade light. A massive towering figure and a diminutive one clashed in an instant. Boom tilde tilde tilde. The blade light contained the mystery of the source of life and death, empowered by the prestige of the godly king-level weapon embryo, and infused with the immense divine power contained within Luo Feng's perfect divine body. Despite being a newly ascended eternal true god, Luo Feng's blade strike was already terrifying. The spears were equally frightening. Duomo had been an eternal true god for eons, and had used secret techniques, and spent massive resources to elevate himself to the eternal 8th realm. These spears showed his profound heritage. The blade light and the spears collided. Both Luo Feng's diminutive form and Duomo's massive form were shaken back slightly. No wonder you dare to compete for this treasure. You do have some ability. Duomo grew even more solemn, as the 8 black spears coordinated with each other, bombarding Luo Feng with a frenzied onslaught. In a head-on clash, Luo Feng's blade of life and death was only considered on par. Now, the 8 spears worked in perfect harmony, threatening to increase their power manifold. This set of secret weapon methods was another great technique of Duomo, the Black Sky Spear technique. Duomo had studied this secret for tens of thousands of years, and had cultivated a suitable 8-armed divine body. With an 8-armed form, he unleashed the dreadful spear technique. Sir, the novel, f.i.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. At this moment, as the Black Sky Spear technique was executed fully, Luo Feng felt as if the sky was falling and the earth was splitting, all filled with long spears. As for powerful blade techniques, I only know this one move, Blade of Life and Death. Luo Feng said, somewhat embarrassed. After all, he had become an eternal true god and immediately came to the land of origin. There was no time to study his heritage. Wielding the blood shadow knife, Luo Feng used the Blade of Life and Death over and over again. He was completely suppressed by the mysterious coordination of the 8 spear shadows, and was occasionally stabbed or slashed, sending him flying backwards into the ground. What's going on? He has refined his divine body to such a realm, so how come his blade technique is so mediocre? Duomo became even more cautious. He never dared to be careless when facing an eternal true god. Little did he know, Luo Feng hadn't had the chance to cultivate any body-refining secret techniques. His divine body was so strong simply because he had recently become an eternal true god, and that was its state from the start. His mastery of blade techniques was already quite good, and he had even grasped a rather powerful move. There must be a plot. Duomo believed in one thing: he would never easily trust the enemy's surface maneuvers. Burn divine power. Duomo's aura suddenly surged, burning his divine power, causing his strength, speed, and other aspects to skyrocket. The overwhelming aura impacted all directions, startling Luo Feng. Luo Feng too immediately burned divine power ignition. Duan Mie, as one of the 3 grand techniques of the Duan Dong River lineage, was too profound. Luo Feng had not yet grasped the method of burning divine power at the eternal true god level in a short period. His method of burning divine power was naturally cruder, and not as refined as Duomo's method. Burning divine power, and his strength hasn't increased much. Could it be he hasn't obtained the secret technique for burning divine power? Then where does he get the nerve to fight over treasures? Thoughts flickered through Duomo's mind. But his movements never stopped. The might of the 8 long spears grew even more terrifying. Boom 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 tilde tilde tilde. Although both sides were burning divine power, Luo Feng was clearly in a worse state and was completely suppressed. He was struck by the long spears time and time again, and his injuries were also noticeably more severe. Master, should I take action? A voice echoed in Luo Feng's mind, belonging to the sector beast Morosa, which was hiding far away and observing the battle. I'm enjoying the fight, don't interject, said Luo Feng. Even though he was hit repeatedly, relying on the nearly endless divine power of his perfect divine body, he could withstand the injury. He was thoroughly experiencing the clash at the eternal true god level. Duomo fully occupied the advantage, but he just couldn't kill Luo Feng's godly body, which shocked him. What a strong body refining secret technique. Then let him witness my killing blow. Black Sky Spear techniques, all worlds as one. Duomo's burning divine power was madly poured into 8 long spears. The world around them twisted, and then Luo Feng saw a long spear carrying the power to decimate heaven and earth before him, cleaving directly onto his own head. Boom. This force was much more powerful than before, and Luo Feng was blasted downward in an instant. But as he fell, the second spear, the third spear. In the blink of an eye, thousands of consecutive spear strikes hit Luo Feng. Each blow was relentless, and Luo Feng couldn't defend himself during the fall, only able to withstand these spear techniques with his sturdy body. Within less than a moment from falling from the high sky, he suffered thousands of long spear strikes. Luo Feng was stunned, feeling an endless, terrifying force continuously pouring into his body, relentlessly extinguishing his divine power. His entire being was pounded into the earth, and the horrifying shock waves spread in all directions, causing trees to topple and mountains to crumble. Within millions of miles, exotic beasts fell silent, each one lying low. Even though the land of origin's ground was stable, a giant basin was still blasted out, with Luo Feng lying right in the middle of the central pit. Huh. Luo Feng blinked his eyes and sat up straight in the pit. Master got hit pretty hard. The sector beast Morosa, concealing its presence and observing from a distance, couldn't help but cover its eyes and sent a telepathic message. Master, are you sure you don't need my help? No need. I'm still all right, Luo Feng telepathically replied, then lifted his head to look at the towering figure of Duomo. Looking down at the tiny Luo Feng, disbelief filled the eyes of Duomo's 3 heads. He's still not dead. This video will end here.